To get started on a new budget, select Add from the Budget widget. This will open a new Budget Details page. Here you will find a number of standard categories, including income, housing, childcare, food, transportation, health, miscellaneous, and savings. Clicking on any of the categories expands the view to show specific budget line items inside each category. Each budget that you create is given a name by default. You can change that at any time by clicking into the name text, making changes, and clicking the Save button. Each category contains some common budget line items to get you started. Each budget line has a name, amount, and frequency, or how often, fields. All of these fields can be filled out or modified to match your individual situation. The name and amount fields are open entry, and the frequency field is a drop-down that is defaulted to monthly, but this can be changed as needed. All of the fields on a budget line must be completed in order for the line to show up in the budget summary. You can add budget lines by clicking the Add Line button. To delete a budget line, click on the red trash can icon on the right side of the line. The Save button saves your budget. It is recommended that you save often. To delete an entire budget, click the red Delete button at the bottom left of the page. Once you delete a budget, you will not be able to get it back. To add a custom category to your budget, enter the name and click Add Category. Custom categories are just like other categories, where you can add, edit, or delete budget lines to fit the participant's unique situation. You can delete custom categories by opening it and selecting Delete Category. The standard categories cannot be deleted. If a standard category doesn't apply to the participant, just leave the contents empty. View Summary takes you to the Budget Summary page, which shows your completed budget as well as a graph. You can click on individual categories on the left-hand side to expand that category, or use Expand All to see all the categories in detail. Once expanded, you can use Collapse All to close all categories. This page always starts by calculating your monthly budget. You can use the drop-down above the details to change the time period you want to see. You can pick between daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually, and it will adjust the calculations accordingly. The pie chart on the right side of the page shows expenses by budget category for the selected time period. On the bottom right, there is a total section which shows total income, total expenses, and the difference for the selected time period. The Print Budget button allows you to print the budget. Click Edit Budget to return to the Budget Details page anytime you want to make changes or update the budget. The Budget Planner has a feature that allows you to add a start date, an end date, or both to any given budget line item. Clicking on the blue Calendar button on the right side of the budget line will add the start date and end date fields to that line. Adding dates helps you plan for changes over time, including starting or stopping income, adding new expenses, or seeing how employment changes affect your budget. In this case, you could enter the estimated start and end dates of the UI payments in the income category in order to see a more accurate picture of your projected income over time. If a budget line has an end date but no start date, the system will assume the item occurred indefinitely in the past until the end date. This is useful for situations such as a loss of employment income. If a budget line has a start date but no end date, the system will assume that the item continues indefinitely into the future. This is useful for situations such as starting new, permanent employment. Or, maybe you expected to pay higher costs for utilities in the winter due to heating. A budget line can be created to reflect those estimated costs for just the winter months. To remove dates from a budget line, you can click on the Calendar button again, or you can delete the dates from the start and end date fields. Once a user has added the calendar option to one or more budget lines, another feature of the budget planner becomes available: Life Events. Life Events is a simple way to identify events that may add context to the budget. To use this feature, click on the Life Events box and click Add Event. You can then name the event and select the date the event occurs. You can add as many events as you like. Life events show up in the graph on the budget summary page. To delete an event, click on the trash can icon. If any of the lines in a budget have start or end dates, the budget summary page shows a different set of graphs than when there are no start or end dates. The reason for this is that adding specific time elements to a budget makes it possible to see how income and expenses change over time. Seeing an accurate projection of income and expenses can help plan for future changes. When you view the budget summary page with dates added to your budget items, the budget tool automatically shows you a view of the budget for the current full month. You can see the date range for the summary in the start date and end date fields at the upper left of the page. By clicking into the start date and/or end date fields, you can change the time period shown on the budget summary to any dates you would like to see. The information shown on the graphs comes directly from what is entered into the budget details. Entering more accurate and detailed information into the budget will produce more accurate and detailed graphs. There are two graph types available for time-related budgets. You can choose which ones you want to see by selecting the buttons below the start and end date fields. Total income and expenses shows one line for total income and another line for total expenses. Expenses shows expenses by category. The time-related graph will also show you any life events that were entered on the budget details page with each event's corresponding date. You can click on individual categories in the left side to expand that category, or use Expand All to see all of the categories in detail. Once expanded, you can use Collapse All to close all categories. On the bottom right, there is a Totals section which shows total income, total expenses, and the difference for the selected time period. Print Budget allows you to print the current view of the budget. Click Edit Budget to return to the budget details page anytime you need to make changes or update the budget. Once you have saved one or more budgets, you will see them in a summary table on the budget widget. Click on the budget name to return to the budget details page. The table also shows the last date the budget was updated. You can use the budget planner to create multiple budgets. You can use this to compare different jobs, compare training programs, or anytime you want to map out future options. From here, you can also create a new budget at any time. Keep in mind, budgeting is not a one-time task. It is important to remind participants to review and update their budgets often.